all of the custom sprites that have been implemented into the randomizer. So to start things off, just for those of you that may not be familiar with what the Keysanity mode is, the normal randomizer that you know and love normally has maps, compasses, and keys and whatnot left in their respective dungeons. And I'm going to interrupt my own thought real quick to find the mirror in Link's house, and it looked like the map of Eastern Palace in the Sanctuary.
That's
so
correct.
While all these so-called dungeon items in standard and the open modes remain in their respective dungeons, Keysanity takes them and shuffles them into the whole big pool of items. It's a whole big mess, and it's you know what? What is it, Ninnies? What is it?
Well, it's a Keysanity. I mean, you may have heard from different commentaries on this channel, but the items such as like the map, small keys, and big keys are all over the place. And you saw Epic check his map as soon as he got the like his overworld map, as soon as he got the dungeon map for Eastern Palace to see what it was. Was it a? It was a pendant, but that's one of the cool features about this version of the randomizer is that immediately you don't know what is a crystal or a pendant. I still believe that Sahasrahla gives you the green pendant location.
That's correct.
So,
and the bomb shop. Sorry, the bomb shop in the Dark World also reveals the locations of the red crystals, which are necessary for the Pyramid Fairy.
I did not know that. That must have been a new feature.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure when that was put in. So we did see that there was the mushroom in the sewer area with our uncle, and I think it was only 20 rupees in Escape. Willard setting up a nice fake flipper. He's going to go straight away and turn that in. So these maps and compasses, what are they used for? As Ninny's mentioned, once you get the map for each dungeon, you can check it on the overworld screen and see what the crystal or that fire rod, I believe. Nice.
Yeah,
the crystal or pendant knowledge for that map, or that dungeon, I should say. The compass, however, has a use as well in Keysanity mode in that it'll show you how many of the item locations in each dungeon, or in its respective dungeon, you've actually picked up. Just the Quake medallion right away could come into play later on, might be useful. And speaking of coming into play later on, the thing that makes Keysanity interesting to me, one of the best examples I think, is that it can take a dungeon like Misery Mire, which normally only has 2 non-dungeon items within it, and I believe there's a total of 8 locations in it that you can check. Any one of those can be something useful. So it turns a dungeon that's otherwise a slow, painful crawl into something that's very much worthwhile. I suspect we're not going to see too many item locations being skipped out on by our runners in this case, just because of that extra randomness that is Keysanity. You're going to need to find so much more.
If you look over what Willard's doing, he is setting up the Houlihan room. Something you don't see too often, and it looks like EpikRainjer just got the big key for... Oh man, what dungeon was that? That was so quick.
I actually think it might have been Eastern.
A lot of Eastern love. Yeah. Oh, kind of want to see the bow soon. I mean, you got that fire rod. Yeah, so you got that fire rod. You're able to light up that dark room with the 2 greenies in it. You just got to get that bow and you can get on through.
Yeah, that'd be nice, because Eastern Palace is actually one of the dungeons that does not have any small keys that are going to be in the overworld. And then we find EpikRainjer finding one of the Turtle Rock small keys, 4 of those in total. Exceedingly useful to find all of them. You don't want to wind up with that conundrum of, do I check the vanilla big key chest and waste the key, or do I just go straight on through? Willard getting beat up, on the other hand. His blue guard's not really a big fan of him. Taking him down to 1 heart. He does get a bomb out of the mix, though. He's going to head on over and check the maze game, while EpikRainjer finds a small key for Castle Tower from the bottle merchant.
That is an amazing key to find. If this is an Agahnim seed, there's only 2 keys for that tower, and so finding 1 out of 2 kind of like, it may make you a little bit worried as a runner, kind of like, okay, well, I got the lamp already, and I'm getting some good items, but I just got this small key. It's like, oh no.
Of course, at this point, we're still missing a way to even get into it, but it just makes us that much closer to considering it as a very viable part of the logic. So let's see, I guess Willard saw something over here, or he just went straight in. I'm not sure which. Oh, it's the boots, so that's a pretty good find, I guess.
And Epic just got the big key for Turtle Rock, so 1 small key and 1 big key down for T-Rock.
I believe that's our 2nd big key already. Some of these seeds, you can go an hour without finding like any big keys. Some of them give them to you pretty front heavy. We get a small key in the library. Willard's going to be able to pick that up straight away because of his routing from south to north in Kakariko. Small key to Ice Palace. Definitely going to be helpful. Make it a little bit more convenient to route that dungeon later on.
Now, this is interesting. Epic has not checked what the race game was, and is just deciding to go ahead and take this risk and see, you know what, maybe something is of use over here. Now, what a payoff this is going to be. He used his only bomb to go through this race, and he's going to get the boots.
He's going to be quite happy about that, I'm sure. It's like, hey, that actually worked. You know what? For some people, that's just part of their normal strategy, normal routing. It's not a terribly big time sink to check it and be wrong, or to go down and then have to walk back up. Either way, it's only costing you a couple of seconds. But it's kind of like that catch-22. Which one do I do first? So we see Willard backtracking what EpikRainjer's already done through the village. Picking up half magic from the chicken house. About to get whatever the bottle vendor had, some sort of a small key. To Castle Tower, that's the one. That's the dreaded Castle Tower key that we were talking about.
Now, since both of our runners right now are kind of like just catching up with each other's shared information, where do you think I think Epic's probably going to make the first deviation. I'm going to guess that Epic is going to go to Eastern.
Well, it's an interesting thing to consider, because when you have the Eastern big key, it gives you, obviously, it gives you the big chest to be able to check on your first time through. Eastern's a fairly common play early on, with or without it, but that does add a little bit of extra value.
Yeah, not just that, you got Sahashala on the way. You got the boots, so you don't need to use any bombs to get through the back door. So that's 3 chests right there. And then you got, you know, as you said before, with the Keysanity, adding perhaps some extra value to these dungeons. You have upwards of about, I think, 5 chests are in Eastern Palace that you can kind of hope for.
6 locations in total.
6, okay.
There's the 3 non-dungeon items, map, compass, and big key.
Map, yeah, it's the map chest. I always forget about that map chest, man.
Yep, but it goes beyond finding or hoping to find only progression items. Because even if you find a small key, or especially a big key for other dungeons, that's gonna make you just as happy as finding a progression item in a lot of cases. In some cases, it might make you roll your eyes. Looking at you, Skullwoods, we don't need your small keys. But that's okay. It's bound to happen.
Oh yeah, Skullwoods is always one of those interesting dungeons.
And EpikRainjer is about to get their mushroom as well. We'll see how long it takes for them to go turn it in. Willard did that straight away. This early on, you know what, you might as well, but could be one of those things that just keep in your back pocket, maybe go for it at a slightly more convenient time. We could see Epic go through Escape at this point, though. Fire Rod's a fantastic weapon to make it through.
Yeah, and has half magic, so half magic, and you can actually kill some of the guards with the hookshot as well.
Can you?
No, wait.
So I know some of them respond differently to...
The green ones don't. Maybe the blue ones?
I think they just freeze. I think what I'm thinking of is like up in the castle tower with the ice rod, for instance. Some of them will freeze and some of them will just outright die.
Yeah,
which
the green ones will freeze.
I don't really
those are my favorite ones to freeze and throw at the ball and chain guard. It's my absolute favorite thing to do.
It's funny. It's just simply funny. Why would you not like it?
It's friendly fire.
Or maybe you fire the friendly fire and then it's not friendly because there goes the ball and chain guard or something. It's all a conspiracy anyway, so it's fine.
I feel like you ruined my pun, man. I had a good thing going.
You did, and then I tried to make it better, so it's not great. It's on me for making it bad.
Ooh, look at this. Is Willard checking the lumberjack? Okay.
Yep. Good play, good play. Interesting, too, that the bush crab is dropping fairies. It's one that I haven't seen too often as a prize pack there.
Now, the bush crab dropping the fairies, is that also tied to the stun item? I forget.
I don't think so. But honestly, if that's a coincidence I've never noticed, then shame on me.
Yeah, because if... I can't remember if the stun item is tied to something, because knowing what the stun item can be really helpful, especially if it's something like bombs or fairies or full magic upgrades. Just hook shot something, boom something, kill it. There's your item.
Well, that'll be something for us to take a look at as we get a little further in. I would actually like to know what the stun pack is. So we find a compass for Palace of Darkness. And EpikRainjer's heading to the back of the escape sequence into the sewer area. Take a look at that one last chest that's accessible at the moment.
Yeah, it's dangerous with boots without a sword. It's not often something that you get used to. Willard finding the flute, but
the flute.
It's not often finding getting boots without a sword. Same thing works with like the item dashes. You actually can't item dash with the hammer and like donk things in a row without the sword for some reason.
Right. I guess the game just calculates it all together. And I'm noticing too, based on the tracker and chat, thank you kindly, that EpikRainjer also has the Moon Pearl. That must have been somewhere in the escape sequence. Did not pick up on that at the time. Nice find. Fantastic find. Moving on into the mini Maldorm Cave. Well, there's our sword, so that negates any issue with potential hammer dashing later on. What was the map for Turtle Rock? 300 rupees. Another sword.
Yeah. Wow, so Turtle Rock is showing up and Eastern Palace is showing up really soon, and then we only got the one little thing of Dark Palace. So Willard with a Master Sword in hand, some added information, and a flute for added transportation. We're probably going to see a Death Mountain ascent coming up here, and not the glitch, the proper way.
Yeah, that's true. Having the flute gives you that access directly within the logic. There's two ways that you can get up to Death Mountain, between the flute or a glove and the lantern. And we've got one of those criteria met. Yeah, lots of options up there in the light world. First and foremost, though, we gotta activate the flute so that our little duck friend can even carry us anywhere. EpikRainjer making about the same path that Willard did, checking the mini Maldorm Cave. And yeah, hookshot's really one of the only weapons they could use at this point. Fire Rod might be a little more advantageous. The thing that's annoying to me about the hookshot is that once you shoot it like that, you can't move until it retracts all the way. Fire Rod might have been offered a slightly different perspective on it, but either way, makes it through, collects all of the items back here, the two swords and whatnot.
I think what Epik might be wanting to do is hold on to his magic. Granted, he has half magic, but the Fire Rod is one of the higher magic consumption items in the game. So,
True.
Without having to make an extra trip back to like escape or hope for a full magic container drop, it's probably like the best idea to do. Although I do like the large amount of transportation that we have in this seed. We have boots, we have flute really early, sub 20 minutes. We got both those things. We're getting a little bit of information, like a little bit of peeking into this seed once we can get some Dark World map check. That way we can see what that compass reveals for our runners. How much value does Palace of Darkness have for him?
Something worth noting too, just a general observation about Willard's routing. After the mini Maldorm Cave, saving and quitting immediately to go and activate the flute just to get to the number 8 spot in the southeast Lake Hylia Island. Pretty efficient. Definitely to be able to use that flute to get around in that way instead of just dashing to the east when he was already there. I like it.
And not just that, but mystery small key on Lake Hylia Island. Could be something of importance, could be nothing. It could just be, one of those extra keys that you really don't need. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing about Keysanity. You see like the small key, but it doesn't have a little acronym attached to it. You don't know what you're getting yourself into.
I mean, could you imagine if the silver arrow was only colored silver and it didn't have the AG on it? I wouldn't have a clue what it was for. It's just like that small key on Lake Hylia's Island.
Man, I would think that my game was broken. It's like, what is this small off-colored arrow doing on my screen?
I think it's supposed to be a fork. Maybe the hobo lost it.
The hobo's dinner fork? What a curse in life to be poor living under a bridge but have the most powerful fork in history.
So red boomerang looked like a heart piece, and the other key to Castle Tower. Did I just see that right?
Yep, that's both of them. So we have Master Sword, Moon Pearl early. This
and the hook shot and the lantern. We have everything necessary to go and do Aghanim's Tower right now and get our real Dark World access. Wow, that's
Armos Knight giving Willard some trouble. He's been getting beat up by a lot of things in the seat already.
So EpikRainjer choosing to go for a slightly different route up to the Zora area. Plenty of rupees. Take a look at the ledge. We find, I believe it was the map of Tower of Hera and the dinner plate to go along with that fictitious fork that we were talking about that's clearly not around yet. So we'll see if Zora's going to have anything worthwhile. Being that it's not in the...
Sorry, I was just going to make a note that Epic decided to launch up onto the grass to get out of the fake flippers. Maybe he's had some runs in the past where he's got hit by like a little Zora, but like or maybe it's just an accident. But it might just be like a little safety just to make sure that this is a little bit out of the way to do, and as we saw, it didn't really pay off. So if you die there, chances are you don't go back for a while.
Right, so that could be like one of those protective measures so that it takes you out of that fake flipper state and just allows you to not instantly get a game over just from taking any sort of accidental damage. So EpikRainjer now heading up to Death Mountain. First things first, let's see what the old man has. Let's take him home. As Willard continues through Eastern Palace, we'll see how he does the Stalfos room. Textbook. Throwing those couple of pots, hitting the Stalfos before they even spawn, dashing right by that chest at first. Got a little too eager.
I like this Death Mountain play. I really like it a lot. I mean, you got the hook shot, you can get over to the other side. You got the mirror, so you have almost full access of this entire area. You really just can't lift anything to get to the Dark World.
Yeah, there won't be any Dark World access there yet. We do have the mirror, so we can get up to Tower of Hera and at least take a look at what's inside. Although without the big key or the small key to it, it only leaves us with 2 item locations to even take a peek at inside of the dungeon. But not necessarily a bad play when you're up here. It's quick enough. It doesn't involve climbing the tower, really, or especially going into the basement. And we see the magic cape on the other side of the spectral rock hole. And EpikRainjer is going to drop right down and get that.
And the Master Sword?
And the Moon Pearl and the hook shot. You know what? I'm not really one to just blatantly call things out, but it's almost like Aghanim's going to be a thing.
Well, that's the weird thing. I mean, like, in Keysanity, there's so many other possibilities that can happen. And so for something like this to, like, kind of pop up and point this way, I may not be the most experienced with them, like the newer versions of this randomizer, but I would say that this would definitely hit me towards that. I kind of would drop what I was doing and I would kind of, get Agahnim out of the way.
You know what, though? If I had to take any sort of a guess, and that's exactly what I'm going to do, Willard is actually putting off any sort of a play through Aghanim's Tower until escape is essentially going to be his last option. And that's a deliberate thing on his part, because you can just use the mirror when you're in Hyrule Castle to get back quickly.
Looks like Crystal 4 was at Thieves Town. I didn't get to see what was at Turtle Rock. It was way too quick, but I feel like it was red. So it either is a red pendant or one of the crystals 5 or 6.
It was the red pendant, indeed. Read something, but yeah, it was a very quick map check, a little bit difficult to tell at first.
Well, as we know with Keysanity, pendant and crystal does not matter. That big key, and you all know what big key we're talking about, could be anywhere, except for like 4 chests in the tower itself.
Pretty much. The interesting thing is that, and we've been lucky that we've actually received a lot of maps. Oh, we've got Willard trying the Spectacle Rock Bomb Jump. Let's see how this goes, and then I'll get back to my thought. I think he's got it lined up pretty well. That's an interesting one. I believe the only 3-tile gap that's jumpable in the entire game. So yeah, we've been fortunate to find so many maps at this point, but there's plenty of situations where you don't have a map, and you're just going through a dungeon, and you have the big key for that dungeon, you're going right through it, and you're just kind of hoping it's a crystal. And then you go up to Ganon's Tower at some point and somehow find like all 14 maps in there, and there's not even 14 dungeons, so...
Now, the other thing that's interesting about Keysanity, if I'm not incorrect... Ooh, looks like that ice rod there. So, Epic getting that ice rod on the bottom part of the Paradox Cave. But, sorry, I interrupted what I was saying. The music for the dungeon is randomized. So
yes, that's a great point. Willard playing chicken with a mini Maldorm.
Compass for Skull
Yeah,
Woods.
you know, that happened.
Silver arrows.
Nice.
And that 5th heart for Epic.
Nice finds in the Paradox Cave.
Small key to Hyrule Castle.
You know what? That's actually a benefit. Because EpikRainjer didn't have that the first time through. So Willard's going to be able to just head straight through the sewers and get to the back area of Escape his very first time through.
Yeah, but not before he's going to go over to the other side of Death Mountain, get himself those silver arrows and that ice rod.
But of course.
Now, I know he's got the Master Sword, but deep down in my heart, I hope that he freezes a guard and throws it at the ball and chain guard. I know he won't, but I hope that he will.
You know, he might. He might. I mean, you can definitely ask him about it later if he chooses not to. Tell him that he totally should have or something, because it would have made you happy.
Small key to Swamp Palace.
Okay. You know what? Between that and the big key, that's it for keys for Swamp Palace. Fairly early.
Now, it's really interesting, though. When you're kind of looking at Death Mountain for value, I mean, you kind of always assume, all right, there's going to be something good here. But Keysanity has a whole nother level of the mix. We got, what, 4? No, 3. We got 2 maps, and we got a compass over here. So that gives a little bit of information, depending on where you're looking at. And as you said before, compass gives you that nice little information for how many items are in there, and then being able to visually see where your crystals and pendants are.
Yep, so it looks like now EpikRainjer is going to take the play over to the Eastern Palace area. I don't believe they've been over here yet, so Sahaswala is also in the mix, which I think is where that second Castle Tower key was, as well as a Heart Piece and the Bloomerang.
Not too sure about the Bloomerang, but yes, the key and the
Well, how much you want to bet on it? Green Pendant Swamp Palace. How much you want to bet on it?
Boy, I'm broke.
Well,
15 kappas.
Okay, so we'll bet like 50. See, there you go. I knew it was right. So, pay up, boy.
I'm more in debt than I thought I was.
Oh no, and kappas are just so difficult to find. So where to now? EpikRainjer making his way back to... Interesting from Willard, but EpikRainjer heading back to the castle. Probably going to use that castle key that we saw. Willard, on the other hand, going to check the desert cave home to Agahnim.
He's got a little bit of history with this cave.
Well, let's see what's in it. It's one location, but what I was alluding to before, wanting to check everything before needing to head to... Oh, that's even a useless map, too. Before needing to head to Hyrule Castle, the escape sequence, the Aghanim's Tower. It's just one of those things that could make or break it. Unfortunately, at this point, you need a glove and a hammer, or 2 gloves, as well as the Moon Pearl, which Willard doesn't even have yet, to gain Dark World access aside from Agahnim, and that was only one location, so it wouldn't have been possible to have everything from it yet.
Yeah, but I definitely like the the choice that Epic decided to go on. Willard decided to check one extra like overworld location just in case, like, you know, found something of use. Found perhaps like the most useless map in the game. Oh, a small key of Dark Palace.
Nice.
That's
okay,
2.
so then. And you know, Palace of Darkness is confusing enough as it is.
Oh.
Never mind needing to actually find the small keys outside of the dungeon.
Here's the play. 25 minutes in, heads to Agahnim. Alright, so whatever is on the pyramid could give Epic a little bit of a lead here. Well, not lead, advantage, I would say. And then from there, it's more or less planning your first route, which is inevitably going to be Palace of Darkness. You got 2 keys, and it's really the only place that you can get to. But actually, no, I'm forgetting myself. You can hookshot over, and he can start making his way over to.
Actually,
yeah, that side.
I'd like to amend that and say that you can't at this point, because getting to that hookshot point requires either the glove, the hammer, or the flippers, and we have none of those.
You are right.
So, assuming the pyramid has nothing, pod is actually going to be the only play. How's that for something interesting?
Do like an early Palace of Darkness.
But we do still have one more chest in the Castle Tower climb that has a big key for Skull Woods. Okay.
Oh, man.
Not required to get to Mothula, but there is still a big chest in the dungeon, so definitely useful.
I don't know. Seeing a big key for Skull Woods is just maybe is slightly above getting the map for Ganon's Tower.
Yeah. Somewhat. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I'll give you that. Then let's see. So that's where the Moon Pearl was. Okay. So yes, I did miss that before. Interesting to note, too, that... I mean, this is just... obviously it's speculation and probably even a total crapshoot of a theory, but if EpikRainjer happens to find the bow in the Palace of Darkness, they've not been to Eastern Palace yet. They didn't go through that. They'd be able to just mirror straight into Eastern Palace and finish that off all at once. It would be very lucky for the item placement and very, very convenient.
Oh yeah,
and there you go.
There's even more of that advantage time for Epic, because you know Epic's been pretty much on like a different pathway. Willard's been covering a little bit more distance with the help of having the boots that early, but it was like a one minute advantage that he had the boots, and then used it to like cover just a couple more item locations.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if you saw Nins, but Willard did freeze that guard and throw him at the ball and chain guard.
I'm so proud.
Good. EpikRainjer, unfortunately only with 1 heart at this point, still the green male. Not to be confused for our viewers, because Mega Man X's base sprite is blue. Does in fact still have the green male. 1 hit here, 1 unfortunate happening would take him right back to the beginning of the tower. So let's hope that that does not happen.
I have to imagine that he stood there for a second with like a heart skipping a beat. Because it got blue balled really close to the hitbox. And he just stood there for a second like, whew.
Well, I was going to ask too if the heart skipping a beat has anything to do with half or quarter speed heartbeats.
Oh, I see what you did there.
There we go.
There you go. He's filling the room out. It's a lot bigger than any boss room that Mega Man's used to right now, so.
That end, there's no walls to climb on. It's kind of odd.
Yeah, it looks like it. I mean, you kind of have like a top-down view of the arena, but if this were a Mega Man game, this would be just like any other boss arena. Wall jumping, boss going all over the place, chameleons swinging from the top.
I mean, there's technically a boomerang used in that fight, so that works, right?
Oh yeah.
Anyway, let's take a look, Nins. What's on this pyramid? Just bombs. So then, that solidifies it. Palace of Darkness is literally the only location that we can get to at this moment.
It is 100% literally the only place he can go.
And EpikRainjer is going to realize that right now, turn right back around. Okay. Wouldn't have been a whole lot of choice to that once you get up there.
Yeah, Epic remembered a lot quicker than I did about those, the rock or the little hammer peg you gotta hit.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, so it looks like chat's praying for a vanilla hammer.
And chat is asking about Bonk Rocks. Bonk Rocks was checked by Willard, I believe. And I believe that was only a red rupee. Big shock there, because if there's anything that's more common in Keysanity than small keys, it's red rupees still. Actually, I'm not sure how many just loose small keys there are. Never counted that. This could be... You know what? I'm not sure what to call this. Without the bow, it greatly limits where we can even go in Palace of Darkness. We have no choice but to go through that first door and use one of our keys on that.
Desert Palace Compass in Palace of Darkness.
I mean, that's totally where it belongs, right? So we can't be upset about that, right?
Oh no, I'm not upset. I love the mystery and the puzzle that Keysanity adds to the whole randomizer aspect.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Interesting to see EpikRainjer heading this way.
Yeah, it doesn't have the big key, so can't do a hammer jump. But the benefit is that there are 3 chests that he can check this way.
Unfortunately, taking a fall, met face to face with the mini Helma, who said, "No, down you go."
Now this is interesting. Epic threw the bomb over there, perhaps instinctively. Instinctively, that's the word. Words are hard. Trying to, going through here, hoping to get a small key, however unlikely, but you know what? I admire his spirit, and I kind of want him to find a key and keep this whole adventure going. Oh, down to one last chest. What is it going to be? It's got to be some kind of progression item, unless
There's the power glove.
Beautiful. Now they can get over to the other side.
I'm wondering if Epic's going to set up a bomb jump anyway to at least check out what's in the dark maze. Not necessarily in sequence, but while you're here, I would certainly appreciate the play.
I actually like this idea. I didn't think about this, but it makes a lot of sense. You got the reverse way through the maze is a little bit tricky, but I mean, doesn't have to worry about that. It's got the lamp.
Exactly. It'll be as easy as avoiding Dodongo fire.
Hey, a little bit extra health for you. Decides to take a death warp. Not a bad idea.
No, I mean, at that point, it's going to refill your health to more than it would have been to do that, instead of just mirroring. So, not a bad insurance play.
And not sure what Epic is doing. Oh,
there is still one more chest right down here.
Drop down. I'm sorry, I got NMG brain. When I see people that far in the dungeon, I'm always like, they already got that chest, right? And there is a key for this dungeon.
I figured there had to be. Otherwise, it would have been potentially problematic, but we're not going to worry about that. So yes, the Power Glove is going to allow for the intended route to continue across the river.
Okay, so that one is always going to be a vanilla small key then? I'm kind of getting that idea from what chat said.
But I believe that there's always going to be at least one somewhere in pod, but please don't quote me on that. I actually have not looked into the logic enough. I just play the game.
Sometimes that's all you need.
And hey, you know, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. EpikRainjer going for the save and quit. I'm wondering if that might actually be a little bit quicker than navigating... Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely a better than
I do want to point out that while the trackers say it, they do not have the bow. I just want to like let everybody know that, because the trackers got reset somehow, and everybody's kind of clicking, trying to make sure who has what.
By the way, big shoutouts to our tracker tonight, haha Cell. Because Keysanity tracking is not nearly as easy as the already difficult job of tracking. So thank you kindly for keeping us up to date on our items.
I'm really liking this this route in the Epic's taking right now. Getting this graveyard location, and then more than likely going to get King's Tomb and then the Bonk Rocks here, all in one go.
Yeah, it actually works out very efficiently. Not bad, even to find a heart piece right there. Making 8 hearts now.
I wonder if he's been counting. If Epic's been counting and trying to make sure, because most of the time you see a heart piece, and oftentimes runners will just be like, eh, and just right back out the cave. Oh, where's Epic going? All right, left one location behind. Yeah, did not go in the King's Tomb.
Either not realizing that it's a possibility, or just slipping the mind. Unfortunately, that's just something that happens with Randomizer. Happens to everybody. And I don't believe we saw a catfish play from EpikRainjer either. We know that Willard absolutely adores the catfish. So he's gonna go say hey, throw a rock at him, and then probably just walk away once throws trash at him. Ah, here we go. Now Epic's heading back. Nice. Always good to see that.
Probably it was the Bonk Rocks that reminded him. Bonk Rock was like, did I go check King's Tomb?
And Willard doesn't even want that. Just uses the mirror and nopes right away from that blue rupee. Book of Medora in the King's Tomb. The King's Diary itself has finally been uncovered after hundreds of years.
I like this. This allows Epic to potentially get to any of the tablets, should he wish, or access into Desert Palace, should he wish, as well.
Yep, that's entirely open now. Good point.
Aha, remembering that defeated Agahnim can get that item behind the Lumberjack.
I don't think that's going to be necessary, as it was, I believe, 20 rupees. But yes, if somebody really, really feels strapped for cash, it is there. Small key, though, on top of the bumper cave. We'll see what's for. Hopefully not another one of those throwaways. Willard going to check the Zora. See what's on that ledge. We remember it's just a heart container.
Alright, what small key do you think this is?
Well, there you go. That, you know, I was going to comment that heading to desert without any of the keys doesn't leave a lot to be desired. There's not much you can do, but having that small key, it opens up the right side and opens up 2 more locations. So how's that for timing?
Seeds coming together, man. Seeds coming together. It almost feels I don't want to say linear, but it is hinting pretty nicely.
Yeah, we've had a fairly straight path on it so far. Bottlenecking the locations. Of course, at this point, there's a whole heck of a lot of a Dark World to check still. But you
look like we got a map check. Sorry, Hera being a crystal.
I didn't even notice. Just 10 arrow upgrade in Skullwoods at this point.
Now, this next chest in that room is going to be a small key, correct?
Yes, this one... Yep, this one is still always going to be a small key. But with that, we'll get to see what's up in this eastern room from the main entrance of Skullwoods. Another small key, this one to the Tower of Hera, so that opens up the basement. And that's going to be one of those locations that when you see it's accessible, you might think to yourself, why should I bother? It's going to be in the back of your mind for a while. It's out of the way to get to, and it's the tile room.
Oh man, that was unfortunate. Epic was setting up a bomb jump, poked the jelly right as it electrocuted. Tried to get right back in the position, but the immunity frames kept him from getting the bomb jump over.
Oh, that's unfortunate. But nailing it the next time and grabbing the 300 rupees from the big chest. Willard just picking up his Book of Medora. He's going to continue westward through the Dark World. EpikRainjer in a little bit of trouble with health. Scary situation that these giant beanbag enemies with tentacles do like 2 hearts of damage.
Oh yeah, but luckily it's got boomerangs, can stun these little Gibdos, or die and be revived with more health.
You know what? At least it's in a dungeon. It wasn't one of those overworld deaths that would have put you in a very inconvenient spot.
Oh yeah, I mean, this might actually work out for him. Not a lot happened. I bet you what he was probably hoping for is the death in the room above, because in that way it would get you right back to the story and be in and out even faster. But still has the mirror, so you know, not too bad, and got to that room really nicely. Didn't lose any extra health, and so you know that small death lost a little bit of time, but in the end, I think Epic's gonna be happier with 6 hearts instead of 1.
Yeah, I would think that's reasonable. And thanks to our addition of the Fire Rod a bit ago, we are going to even full clear Skullwoods right now. 2 more locations in the back, and
we don't know what Skullwoods is. Nobody's found the map yet.
We didn't find the map, did we?
Yeah, no. So this could be a happy surprise for Epic. Could be a nice crystal, or it could be a pendant. It could be the green pendant. That would also be a nice surprise.
I think we saw some hots for that earlier. I believe green is in Swamp Palace.
Green's in Swamp? Okay. I must have just missed that then.
That's okay. But it's very difficult to keep up with everything that's going on with this. But in this first chest, we have 20 rupees, so Skullwoods has had at least a total of 370 rupees that are kind of useless at this point since the big purchases have already been made. But we'll see how the Mothula fight goes. Master Sword, half magic. Green mail is really the downside on this. Should go pretty much just fine though, right?
Oh, I think it should. Half magic, you can go ham on these Gibdos. Just like what Epic is doing. Nice shot there, using 1 Fire Rod shot to get both of those. Saves a little bit of magic. Even with half magic, you want to make sure that your Mothula fight goes smoothly.
Yeah, it's always cool having that little bit of like splash damage from the Fire Rod, sometimes in the most unexpected of places, like the ice head of Trinex. You can actually wind up getting the same Fire Rod shot that hit it twice. Let's see, a dash up, use the Fire Rod to lure him down. Got bodied a little bit, but we're still going.
Got OD'd.
Got OD'd as well.
Epic having a little bit of trouble here.
You got this, though. You got this. Go, go, go. Just watch that spike. Oh,
at this moment, I would probably
nice.
Switch. Oh, nice. Clutch. I was about to say, it's like, at this moment, I probably would have switched to the cape. I mean, you have a lot of spikes in the air, and Mothula is not in a really good position.
That's true. Yeah, that cape could have at least helped provide a little bit of safety in the meantime while you get those Fire Rod slashes, wow. Master Sword slashes, which actually only do the same amount of damage as the Fire Rod anyway.
Yeah, but it was a beautiful fight and
Yep.
landed a nice crystal. So surprise, hooray!
Super well done by Epic. And Willard's going to head in just moments behind as we get a pedestal check from EpikRainjer. Just pocket change, move right along. Skullwoods had all of the game's money. We don't need the pedestal's money.
So what Willard is setting up here is spins. As we know that this, or as you may not know, spins with a tiered weapon will usually do damage of the weapon of a slash right above it. So Fighter Sword spins can do Master Sword damage, so on and so forth, except for Butter Sword or Gold Sword. Doesn't matter what you do, slash or spin does the same amount of damage.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing about the way that some enemies take damage in this game. The Hynex, the like Cyclops guy that throws bombs and whatnot, is, I believe, the only enemy in the game that takes extra damage from a swung or a spin attack on the Butter Sword. And then you get situations like, well, it doesn't matter anyway because a normal slash kills it, so you would never know. But then you get situations like Maldorm where it takes 6 Fighter Sword slashes or even 6 Master Sword slashes. It does the same, and yet 3 Master Sword spins take it out, while 6 Fighter Sword spins do not. Damage calculations in this game are just kind of weird. We see the Ether Medallion from the C-shaped house. EpikRainjer now checking the bombable hut in South Village of Outcasts.
Really quick tangent, when you were talking about how the Hinox takes a little bit more damage from the Butter Sword, I just in my head it popped up with a Final Fantasy Overkill like little logo after like the spin on it. I just thought that I'd share that with everybody in the world.
Well, thank you for sharing. Nice return on investment for the chest game. Pay 30 to win 300. Sign me up. So we're going to take our first look into Thieves Town, which I believe we have the small key for. Yes, we do, as the screen indicates, but not the big key. So just a quick check on the first 4 chests here.
Now, I don't believe that we have the big key at all.
No, that's correct. We do not.
We have a subscription coming in from Dark Dawn 111. Thank you so much for supporting the channel and Speed Gaming.
Minor as it was, nice use of the hookshot by Willard to get past that spike. Instead of going all the way up and around, you can just hookshot through the spike right through to that other wall. Save a little bit of time, and it looks cool. Meanwhile, this last chest in Thieves Town is the blue mail. And perhaps somebody a little bit more versed with the Mega Man universe can tell me what that's supposed to represent.
As far as I know, different levels in the game, you actually acquire this in the 100% run. It's basically armor upgrades, give you additional health. It's like a super powered up suit.
And the shotgun ice is a interesting theory on that, because it does kind of resemble that. But let's see what's at the digging game instead.
Oh man, how many digs are we at now?
At this point? A lot.
For 5 bomb upgrade.
Well, not really what we're looking for. And meanwhile, mirroring at the Circle of Bushes Caves, that's where we find our hammer. So gee, what does that let us do at this point? Well, Swamp Palace is actually entirely beatable now. I'm sorry, I correct myself. I'm going to stop myself right there. We can merely get into it, but we can do literally nothing. We don't have the flippers.
I was about to say, there was one critical item missing.
You know, probably the most critical. Just so used to knowing that it's that obvious, I guess, that I just overlooked it.
But, I mean, there's still hope. We have probably everybody's favorite hype cave coming up in here soon.
Mm-hmm.
The 5-item Darkwold cave.
That is open. The Bombos tablet is open. And we're going to take a look, too, at what crystals 5 and 6 are going to be by talking to our favorite little elephant. Crystals from Eastern Palace and Misery Mire, so I can make a big bomb.
Interesting.
Well, now we know.
So, with that in mind, we know for a fact that the bow is not going to be behind the double-chested fairy. Neither is the lift upgrade or the Cane of Samaria. But outside of those, it's free game.
Pretty much. Well, there's the bow.
And there it is.
So, I mean, that just
the devil
backs it up even. Oh, is that what the D's for? The devil bow? Anyway, could be an interesting play at this point for EpikRainjer to go and check the Bombos tablet and then continue west into Desert since we have the book and a small key.
I feel like he took something wonderful and made it spooky.
Well, I can assure you, my friend, that was not my intent. But it just happens. It's one of those things.
Totally kidding. I love the devil bow. Plus, silver arrows too. So, I mean, a lot of bosses are going to be made a heck of a lot easier. Mm-hmm. Vitreous, Armos Knights, Helmosaur. Pretty much just those. Landmo.
And in our continuing evolution of food holding items, we see EpikRainjer goes from the dinner plate to the hot plate, finding that second shield on the Bombos tablet. Checking Agahnim's cave now, which I believe was just a map, but we do know that it wasn't anything important.
I feel like it was the Thieves Town map?
No. I mean, you were close.
That's what it was.
You were close.
It was no, I was so very far away. Don't even get credit for that.
We can make a stretch on it, because let's think about it. Ganondorf is the king of thieves, and that was the map to Ganon's tower, which might as well be kind of similar then to Thieves' whatevers, right? I mean, it makes sense to me.
I appreciate that you're making this work for me.
Just trying to look out for you, dude. What kind of a friend would I be?
Getting me so sentimental over here. Willard getting that information. Gonna learn more about Eastern and Mire for his future chest hunting glory days.
So here we go. Having that small key right away, EpikRainjer taking an immediate path to the eastern side of Desert Palace. That's going to allow him to just circle around pretty much just once throughout the dungeon. I actually really like that. There's the Titan's Mitt, so very good idea to come here. And the big key for Thieves Town, so we can get back there now. How fitting.
Now, bow in hand, let's see where Willard goes. Will Willard return to Eastern? Because I do believe that he was the only one that made that trip into the dungeon.
Mm-hmm.
Or is he just going to make his way to Misery Mire Small Key? I believe you only really need 2 of those and a big key in order to get through just straight to the boss.
2 Misery Mire?
Yes.
If you want to get straight to the boss, the big key and a small key are most of them, maybe not even a small key.
Ooh, a small key for G Tower.
You can actually full clear the entirety of Misery Mire without finding any of the small keys first, because there's enough within the dungeon under pots and whatnot. Something is missing here, though. Yep, just take that quick slash at it. We don't have the big key for Desert Palace yet. But EpikRainjer taking a path back around, I believe going to get the ledge item, which I think was a bottle, which would be our first. So that opens up the Sit Kit as well as the rest of Thieves Town. Might make for a nice 1-2 punch later on.
Looks like Willard is making a play back to Eastern and/or Pod. I mean,
Yeah,
Pod's
you know
beatable
what?
now. Wait, no. Still need the big key.
See, yep, that's where Keysanity gets you, isn't it?
It is. Thank goodness for that little mini map that when you open it up, it tells you if you have the big key or not.
Very, very useful addition. And I believe once the pause menu's on, if you push select, it'll show you the same thing, but for maps and compasses. Now, truth be told, I thought that Willard might have dipped into Pod first to check the right side at least. It's 2 more things that are open that don't cost any small keys to get to.
I think what he's doing right now is he's making the play into Eastern to complete it, and then is going to check Pod. So that way, if it doesn't turn out to be anything, mirror and/or save and quit.
Mm-hmm.
But I did not happen to see what the medallion was for Meyer. It happened so fast on Epic's screen.
I don't think that Epic actually moved far enough over to see it. I'm sure that chat would be thrilled to correct us, though, if we're both mistaken.
Chat, do your magic.
But there's the red mail. And I know what this is going to make Mega Man X become. We have the gold armor from X3 to represent that.
Well, then if it's X and then level 2 armor, it's safe to say that it's X2 armor, and then this one being X3.
I mean, it's a good working theory. We'd have to verify it. There's the flippers. Oh my!
Right,
so
we'll shelf my hypothesis and we'll go take a dip in Swamp Palace. Yeah,
because we have a whole world open to us now between finishing Thieves Town. At least checking Misery Mire possibly could have been an option. We don't know what medallion it could have been, but yeah, Swamp Palace. There's that one critical item, right? We can full clear that now.
Speaking of critical item, there really isn't much left in the way of items to find. I mean, powder can lead to something. Bombo's medallion is out there somewhere, and the Cane of Samaria. But other than that, they have like the tools necessary. They just need the namesake of this randomizer. They need the keys necessary now.
Yeah, Cane of Samaria being really the big go-to progression item to find at this point. But yeah, other than that, it's just hunt down the keys.
Lake Hylia Island is a small key
Yes,
of mystery at this point. It's anybody's game.
We don't have a clue what that key is going to be. We can't even swim by and shout to the Buzz Blob and ask him what it's going to be, because Buzz Blobs don't talk.
I wish they talked.
But I mean, if they could, would they just tell you it's for a wrong dungeon? Because it's, I mean, Buzz Blobs are enemies.
I feel like they would try to steer you down the wrong path.
It's a very real possibility. Or, I should say, for where Willard's at, it's a very real possibility.
Oh! You steal my heart.
Is it bad that I set myself up for my jokes? And there's Cane of Samaria. So, glad that was a diversion. You can all focus on that instead of the dumb jokes that I make.
You know, that's actually really good. That we now know where everything is as far as, well, minus the bombos. But yeah, I mean, shovel, powder can lead to something. It's one item, but as far as the items that are necessary for dungeon completion, we know where they all are. So this is kind of interesting now.
So WillardJbradley about to head into Desert Palace. We'll see if he makes the same routing that EpikRainjer did. Head straight to the right and grab the Titan's Mitts.
Looking
before
like
anything
it.
else. Nice. Good play then.
Nice damage boost from the BMOS Knight.
That's a fun one. So there's the Titan's Mid. He'll head one screen north, and I believe it was the big key for Thieves Town that he's about to pick up. Single arrow just in the blind cell in Thieves Town. More curious, though, is what sort of routing divergence are we going to have after Willard's all said and done with this Desert Palace stuff and it gets the flippers from the sick kid?
Well,
there's a lot that's open.
If Epic didn't have the right medallion for this place, I could see Willard at least taking a dip into Mire. He knows it's a crystal. Has one key for it.
Has the cane of Samaria, although we don't have the big key, so the cane itself doesn't even do anything.
Yeah, well, there's a couple of keys in there that are underneath pots that he can pick up. There's one that nobody ever really goes up for, but you can acquire it. Yeah, and then there is the one underneath the pod that you normally would do in your routing. So, I mean, he can get around the dungeon. Can't get to the boss, but there's no chests outside of just what Vitreous has. So, I mean, you can check that dungeon all, what? 1, 2, 3. Well, actually, no, not the big chest. I forget myself. But yeah, I believe there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 chests. One minus one of those for the big key.
It is Bombos. Okay, so maybe EpikRainjer took a look at that, and it was just a little too quick for us to notice.
Yeah, it was really fast. I saw him hop over in the water, but like, given the aspect ratio or just how we get our restream here, we just didn't get it fast enough. So yeah, we are looking for the Bombo. So that is the last progression item that we need to find then.
And of course, then it's just a matter of when can we find these things? And we don't know. Thiefstown being taken care of, we have all of Swamp Palace. EpikRainjer taking care of the blacksmith side quest at the moment, starting with the hammer pegs.
I really enjoy the routing that Epic is doing right now. There's a high density of items being checked. And it kind of feels like Epic is just kind of running with instinct and just like finding exactly what he needs. So flippers in hand, couldn't go to Mire. Will Willard go to Swamp? Or is he gonna do? Looks like he's gonna do Thieves.
Yeah, he's making the local play, just heading into Thievestown.
And a compass of Ice Palace. So we have a small key and a compass for Ice Palace, I do believe.
And you know what else we have open too? Is at least Dark Death Mountain. And at least getting the knowledge of the medallion for Turtle Rock. It's a pendant, it's a very, very dense area though for chest locations. We've seen plenty of useful things in there.
I think this is the Swamp Palace play coming from Epic here. Bringing the purple chest over here, he's in the area.
It would make sense. There's Tempered.
Beautiful.
I mean, that's kind of sort of related to its vanilla location. Maybe we can kind of like call it the strawberry location, I guess, because it's related but not quite.
Neapolitan, maybe?
Maybe.
Because he did have to go through 2 different layers in order to pick that up.
Ah, I get it. I see what you did there. So it looks like EpikRainjer is going to follow suit and head back to the eastern pod area as well. Perhaps finish off a dungeon, grab the Cane of Samaria, hopefully both. That's what we would like to see because that's what we know. And doing the same thing, starting with the remainder, actually all of the Eastern Palace. I don't think EpikRainjer's been here at all yet.
No, this is a whole new experience for Epic. So it's gonna be a little bit of time that he's gonna be using that Willard can perhaps make a different play, something that might give a little more of an advantage. I have to say, I mean, they're not really far apart.
No.
If you're looking at just like crystals and pendants, they're tied. Willard's actually about to pick one up here, and Epic as well. So, I mean, they're tied as far as crystals are concerned. It's just more or less like, you know, with what information they have, where they've been, And there's actually not too many places that either or have been at this current moment. So anybody's game just comes down to routing now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're starting to close off those locations of what's available as Willard leaves one bomb on that chest. That wasn't very nice of him, but that's what he did.
Perhaps he was trying to refill the chest. You know, it wasn't the thing that he wanted, but he was like, you know what? If I leave this here, maybe somewhere down the line, when I really need a bomb, I can pick it up later.
Yeah, you know, it's like at 7-Elevens where they have the take a penny, leave a penny thing. It's just for general helpfulness of other people.
Yeah, he's just leaving a penny.
Yeah, it's just a matter of finding keys, and we need a good handful of them at this point. We need the Tower of Hera big key, and not knowing whether or not it's a crystal or a pendant, we still need the Desert Palace big key, Palace of Darkness big key. Ice Palace we don't kind of not need, even though by logic, yes you do. But I suspect that our runners are going to just pull off bomb jumps and whatnot and not necessarily use it. Turtle Rock big key, and of course the Ganon's Tower big key. And Misery Mire, because that's a crystal.
I mean, when it comes down to it, when you're looking for the most important big key in the game, you will be willing to try to search for other big keys because, you know, it could be there.
Mm-hmm.
A big key could lead to another big key.
Oh, it's happened. There's been some silly things in Keysanity. You know, it was never a mode that I thought that I would pick up and play because I thought I was going to pull my hair out when I first saw what it was and what it entailed. And it's a surprisingly fun mode to play.
I'm excited to see where it goes. I don't want to say anything, mainly just because I don't know if it's something that's going to come true, so I don't want to get anybody's hopes up for it. But from what I was kind of discussing at AGDQ, I'm excited to see where that goes, where that thought process goes. But I mean, I'd have to say, out of all of this, this one is definitely it's not room remixing, but I think as far as maintaining general progression through the game, this is the most random that you can get.
Yeah,
at
pretty
this
much.
Current moment.
I mean, when you find a key in one dungeon and it sends you to another dungeon that sends you to another place that opens up 14,000 places.
Oh yeah, the possibilities for triple dipping dungeons, especially ones you never thought you would triple dip, are definitely there. I mean, you know, a triple dip to Palace of Darkness could definitely be in the future, or could have already happened. I'm pretty sure that anybody who's been practicing these seeds, been doing races in preparation for this tournament, and or just, you know, doing them with your friends, as many do. Some people actually have entire Discord servers that have their own little randomizer bot, and it keeps tallies of you know, individual people's scores and stuff like that, in kind of like a semi-competitive but not really competitive way. So it's actually interesting how much this game is just you know, taken over, and people are playing a game that they haven't played in years, and they're enjoying it all over again.
It's a nice fresh outtake on an old familiar treat, is what I like to say on it. And it keeps you guessing every single time. And actually here, speaking of guessing, we've been wondering about this for some time. Willard's going to check out that small key on the Hylia Island.
What do you want it to be?
Turtle Rock.
Turtle Rock?
I was close. It's kind of right there.
That's 2 small keys for G Tower. They are important. Those small keys are very important.
And making another play I've been curious about, Willard heading to check out East Dark Death Mountain. Possibly starting with Spike Cave. So
not just that, but may also be checking Ether on this side as well.
Mm-hmm. Ether and the Tower of Hera basement are open as well. EpikRainjer actually right behind him. We'll see if Epic takes the same path or heads to the east first. I guess we're heading east. Or perhaps not. Or yes, or no. Or Dead Rock.
A little bit of confusion.
A little bit of Dead Rock getting in the way.
A little bit of Monica in my life.
I do live under a rock. I don't really know references too well. There's a big key for Meyer. Okay.
It's Mamba number 5.
Ah. Yeah, I wouldn't have known that. Ever.
Trying to set a spin speed here with the cape. Wonderfully done. Looks like it's complicated. Really not. The only thing that knocks you out of that spin speed is pressing the A button or the dash button. So you can use Kana Burna, or you can use the cape and maintain your spin speed state and just get through that room as quickly as possible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a good way to save magic. Of course, you're not taking damage done on your way out. And perhaps above all else, it looks cool.
Alright, and Hookshot Cave. Another high density location here.
First off, there's Bombos, so
Beautiful.
Now the Medallion of Turtle Rock doesn't matter at all.
Nope. And on
It's a
top of
map
that,
of
we
Meyer.
got the Meyer map. We
know that
the
wasn't a
Bombos.
crystal anyway.
Oh yeah. But on top of that, we also have the big key for Meyer, I believe. So we have access to everything inside that dungeon now.
That's true.
And yeah.
You know what? Between Eastern and Misery Mire being the Pyramid Fairy crystals as well, I would think that that's going to be one of the better choices to head to relatively soon. As we see that Turtle Rock is the Quake Medallion, so accessible anyway.
This is interesting. We haven't seen our runners really in the same spot actually since really ever. They've always either been a little bit behind or a little bit around, and I'm liking this. They're finally kind of in the same general area.
So one way or another, they combine for a high five here. And I do want to note that they do have, or at least Willard does have, the big key and one small key for Turtle Rock. And we'll see what Epic's inventory holds as well. The same thing. So one small key and one big key each. Not an unrealistic idea to come through here then and take a look at these first couple areas.
It's always interesting to get a small key for a dungeon you're completely done with.
I mean, hey, that's just part of that route divergence that could, well, I guess, separate the EpikRainjer from the WillardJbradley. Who knows? One small key doesn't allow for a whole lot of access, though. But when you're here, I mean, it's... Well, no, maybe it's nothing like checking the Swamp Palace first chest, because that's silly. Not a bad play to take a look, though. As we see Willard finish up the Hookshot Cave. And what is next?
Just barely missed that.
The hookshot on the torch after lighting it? It's tough to get that quickly. You have to light the torch as high as it can possibly be lit.
This could be a Hera Ether play.
Vanilla small key.
Interesting. The progression in T-Rock will at least go another layer deeper.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we can't get to Laser Bridge just yet. If he steals the key off of the Pokey, he can get almost there. Actually, yes, you could, but if that chest is something, then you're kind of like, you're wasting a lot of time trying to get all the way back here.
Right. I mean, 3 keys is the minimum to be able to get 2 Trinects, assuming that you have Go mode capabilities for it otherwise. Having a little bit of trouble with the Chain Chomp room. Is very, very hungry for that Samaria block.
Yeah, he's interfering with the pathing of it. Oh, Dark Palace
key. Interesting. See, this is what I'm talking about. We know that Turtle Rock is a pendant, but there we go. We have a key inside of it for another dungeon, and at this point, it's a key that we know we're going to need.
Alright, and Willard's heading to Meyer. I don't know what is the more interesting play. Turtle Rock, just because like the risk involved, at any moment you can kind of just get halted and your progress is stopped. or the Mire play, where not as many chests, but each of the chests are completely accessible and is the boss.
Interesting, too, that EpikRainjer is not even going to get the small key off of the Pokey. I'd be curious to know what the logic is behind that move.
It looks like he's going to go to the little mimic room over here. A little bit of trouble with the bombs. Sometimes if you're a little bit too far down, and I believe it's if you pick up the pot, it puts the bomb in a spot where it's not actually going to blow the wall up.
Yeah, it just makes it kind of bounce off it a little bit like that, like we saw.
Yeah. But I definitely think that the reason why he didn't go for the Pokey is more of a strategic play, because he's probably to see how far he can go. If he gets a small key here for Turtle Rock, he can go a little bit farther without having to go for the Pokey.
I mean, who knows? There's a good number of reasons for anything that's done in any Keysanity, and there's absolutely no reason that the shovel should be in Misery Mire. Why is that there? That's just another nuisance.
It's another one of those items that's going to make you think, man, what's buried?
But in general, just backtracking a moment. Oh, wow, that was a vanilla small key.
See, now he's confused. So where do I go now? All right, so that means that you can get that key off that Pokey.
And
there you go.
Yeah, this dungeon's beatable then. Leaving only the vanilla big key chest behind. We've got access to Laser Bridge and
that's awesome.
Trinex.
So I gotta favor Epic more in this play then. A lot of things could have just kind of gone wrong, and this could have just been a secondary dip. Actually, no, this is a pendant, right?
It is a pendant, yes.
Yeah, so...
Yeah, I mean, definitely the riskier of the plays. Also, gotta make big shout-outs there to that Dr. Light sprite for the bunny.
So my question is why... no, that's right. Because if... this key... That one's going to be not what he wants, because he can come back for that later, right? No. I'm confused.
We have the big key for Ganon's Tower on the Misery Mire Bridge.
That is hype.
So we
That's
have found
the
that.
Key. And we also have 2 small keys already, so once we get into G Tower, it's a straight ascent up. You don't have to worry about anything else.
Yep. Yeah, even if you don't need to pick up any of the small keys along the way anyway, because you don't need to have any prior to, this just makes it that much quicker. So it could be a true go mode for Ganon's Tower once we get there. So yeah, high risk, high reward. EpikRainjer being able to full clear this dungeon. WillardJbradley taking a bit more of a safe play on completing Misery Mire, knowing that it's a crystal, it's a Pyramid Fairy crystal. But we'll see. Crystal or pendant doesn't always make a difference in terms of where the items are going to be. Turtle Rock's a very, very dense area for item locations, very, very valuable to check.
So I'm going to say, I've never seen Epic run, but I'm going to say that he's going to get 3 out of the 4 laser skips without having to do, like, he'll just get, like, knock him out, just boom, 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 boom. And then the last one, he might have, like, a little bit of, like...
Huh. So that's another thing we're going to start taking bets on. Laser Bridge skips. I'm going to bet 4 for 4 with Cape Strats.
you can't bet that afterwards.
Oh, okay, well, then at least count 3 of them, because one of them was in progress.
Impressive.
There. The most impressive. So with that, EpikRainjer is going to head to Trinex. One last item in this dungeon. A pendant that we don't need. I believe the red one, just for those of you keeping score.
For fans of the color red, this is for you.
We've got a Vidi fight on the other side. Quick work with the silver arrows. Just 1 arrow to each of these mini eyes, and then 2 to the big one itself.
Yep.
Nice swap to the mirror.
1 to the wall. It's good for RNG manipulation.
And we find another big key, this time for Palace of Darkness.
Do we need to go back for the Palace of Darkness?
I don't
Do we
believe
know
that
if
we
it's a...
and in our crystal yet.
Let's
No
see what
one's
we got. Eastern, Hera, Skullwood, Stevestown, Meyer. So there's still 2 that we don't know. So...
Well, where's the other pendant? Okay, so between Pod, Desert Palace, and Ice Palace. Those are our only unknowns right now.
Interesting. Although I feel like we've seen the map for at least one of those. So we should have the info.
That's very possible.
I actually think that they haven't checked the maps since they've gotten anything new.
Hey, I can't say that I blame them, really. With Keysanity, it's just kind of like, just go for it. It takes time to check the map. You don't want to do that. You want to just go and take more time to clear a dungeon, right?
Yeah, it looks like Willard is still having problems with those guards. Doesn't matter if they're blue or green. He's just, they're gonna give him trouble regardless.
And having the overworld change a little bit after Aghannim's defeat, shift change on the guards. They must have told him, hey, just watch out for this cat wearing a tunic.
It's probably the same 2 guys. They just wore different armor today.
Those crafty devils. So here's the play that I've been really curious about. Willard is apparently going to go and check Swamp. Or, no, I'm sorry, Pyramid Fairy. I got my hopes up. I really want to see Swamp Palace.
Why?
Because
it's such a horrible dungeon.
Because ever since
water everywhere, it slows you down.
Because of needing the flippers for it. It just made me so proud once you corrected me on that, and I just want to see Swamp.
Once again, you give me too much credit. I do believe that you caught yourself before I could
Did I?
Do the honors.
Well, you were about to.
I know, right? Ah, darn.
Missed opportunity, Nennies. You gotta stay with it.
I'll post on Craigslist.
For what, a Swamp Palace? I don't think they have those in the free section.
No, it's more like a, missed opportunities, like, I...
That's where you're going with that. Okay. So just bombs and 20 rupees in the Pyramid Fairy. Not quite what we're looking for. Unfortunately, we'll have to go elsewhere. So what's next for Willard? Thought about a save and quit. Gonna mirror instead. And save and quit here.
Well, he's probably doing it from the light world for greater mobility. So, as you know, saving and quitting in the dark world after you've defeated Agahnim will put you right back up on that pyramid. So
whoa. Are you trying to correct me now before I even make mistakes?
No. I'm trying to help the audience understand. Maybe you come in here and you're like, well, why would you never quit?
You're right.
Boom, got him.
Yep, okay. So yeah, valid though for exactly what Ninnies was saying. And Willard's heading back to the Palace of Darkness area. Having the big key, he might just go straight in and clear what else is remaining for him. I don't know that he has enough small keys, though, to really check everything. But yeah, no, the real reason that I was curious about the Swamp Palace is because green pendant, high item density. I don't think it's a bad play.
I do like that idea. Epic's gonna be super happy though, because I believe that he also has had these 2 small keys for Ganon's tower, and as always, you're looking for that big key. Gonna find that big key here, and he's gonna like a little stretch, like a little quiet, like yoo-hoo, maybe to himself. Like, I hope that everybody has a little bit of fun with this. I know in the past with tournament races, I've had a little bit of fun, just like, of course, mic muted, but it's like, you get something and you're just like, yes, like small victories. I'm sure you do stuff like that as well.
Oh, of course. So just a 10 bomb upgrade.
I believe there's only one of those, yes?
I believe so. And I'm not sure where Willard's headed now. He's already been down that way.
It's hard, though. I mean, you keep coming in these dungeons 1, 2, 3 times, and maybe you forget your routing. You just want to make sure you're where you need to be.
Yeah, tough to keep track in these, especially Pod. I mean, there's 14 total locations within it. it's a confusing maze of a dungeon to begin with. As Willard setting up his bam jump? What word was I trying to say there? Bomb jump. Here we go. He's got it. And finds the buffet tray. Nope. You know what, though? That's actually a really good play for him, because he knows what's in the rest of that dungeon. And between the small key and the big key that he has now, he can just go straight for Helmasaur.
I'm not sure if he did that on purpose, but the menu was in tune with the song.
You know, for me, it was the blank stare on Garfield's face standing there matched probably exactly what Willard would have been making with his own face.
Yeah, I could envision a slow crawl to the reset button and just like slapping it really quick. Like a little karate chop.
So Ice Palace instead, we have not seen this yet. And without the big key, the only thing we can't, or the only thing we won't see is the big chest. Technically out of sequence to go through without the, or is it? Because I know that we have the Can of Samaria, but yeah, but that would require the bomb jump, which is not in the lot. But we're gonna do it anyway, I'm sure.
For those of you that are just coming in around now, the reason why we're not covering too much of Epic's play-by-play here is the items have already been discovered by Willard. Willard's already been in Mire, but like we said, you know, that is the hype key right there. That is the G Tower big key.
Cats cannot walk on ice.
Well, let's hope that Mega Man can. That is, if this is a crystal, we still don't know. This could be a blue pendant surprise for Willard.
That'd be nice with a very, very blue-themed dungeon.
It would, wouldn't it? Reminds me of Eiffel 65 in the early 2000s.
And I just like the color blue.
You know, I have to make this joke. A lot of people, when that song came out originally, they thought it said, "I'm blue, if I were green I would die." And one person's in a blue dungeon, one person's in a green dungeon.
And Vitreous is not very nice.
He is not.
Well, there's something to ponder.
Please, Epic, don't make me commentary curse you and that you die on Vitreous. Just survive. You have silver arrows. Just get there, buddy. Like, I believe in you.
Yeah, Silver Arrow should be a piece of cake. Nice spin by Willard to take out all 5 of those penguins right away. Trying to get some hook iframes on that. I don't think there's quite enough room to make that happen with that.
Got him. Sorry.
No, that's quite fine. You were excited, I know. So yeah, we need 2 more points of crystal knowledge. It's another key to pod. And if the Ice Palace is going to be the blue pendant, then that will at least tell us right away which 2 dungeons are the remaining crystals. Which would be good. If it's a crystal, however, then it becomes a 50-50 shot between Desert Palace and Palace of Darkness.
I think Epic is going where you have the highest amount of curiosity.
I see that. That's a thing. Something else worth noting, too, is that not having the Desert Palace big key, it actually makes a lot more sense to go through the Ice Palace right now, knowing that you can just simply beat it and get that knowledge, rather than spending who knows how long trying to find the Desert Palace big key.
Going for the double-chested fairy. Setting up that bomb jump. Nicely done. All right, I believe the 2 items that we found here were Pack of 3 bombs and $20.
Got 6 of the 8 locations checked at the moment. One of them is going to remain unchecked. Cold Stare is going to be our final expedition through the Ice Palace. Really nice dancing around that fire bar to just not get hit at all. And smacking that penguin right out of the way.
Safe to say, the longer you stay inside Ice Palace, the better cats are at handling ice. Ooh, mirror bonk for Epic. Gotta move a little bit, yeah, a little bit either more to the left or a little bit more south.
Mm-hmm. You can actually just stand right in that doorway too without moving and mirror just fine. Even though it looks a little wonky, it does work.
Alright, we're gonna see some Bombo strats here.
And EpikRainjer's actually heading back down to the south, so now we might be seeing our Swamp Palace play. Or not. Or yes.
So the second time that Epic's been trolling you with that.
You know what? Might not be the last time either. Oh yeah, right, with the dead rocks. Fire Rod makes very, very quick work with Cold Stare.
Almost did it to you a third time.
Compass for Turtle Rock. Okay, that's fun. Thank you, game. EpikRainjer, I believe, going to get the small key off of the Hylia Island, which was for where?
G-Tower.
Yeah,
G-Tower
okay.
small key, so they'll give him 3.
And yes, Ice Palace, being a crystal, takes it down to a 50-50. And thank you to New York Rambler for continued support to the Speed Gaming channels. Okay, now are we going to Swamp Palace?
Do you want me to say it just in case like he trolls me and not you?
I mean, I don't know where else he could go at this point.
I mean, there's Bombos.
Okay. Just taking the scenic route to get there. Just had to keep me on the edge of my seat once more.
Yeah.
So,
You gotta drain this area a little bit, but like you gotta understand a lot of information is going through their heads right now. They got key locations, they got what dungeons they can complete. No doubt both of these players have trackers that are keeping track of small keys, big keys, items. There's a lot. There's a lot to Keysanity.
And when you revisit the same area so many times, it confuses your mind. It can cloud it pretty easily. Yeah, I mean, really, the big thing is you just keep moving. Just keep going somewhere. Try to keep your mind clear. Think about what you haven't quite done. Think about what's accessible now that you've found something from somewhere you've already done. That's a mouthful to say. So yeah, once we get through the Palace of Darkness, it'll tell us. Well, obviously, it'll tell us whether or not we need to go to Desert. If it's a crystal, then no, that's fine. If Palace of Darkness winds up being a crystal, then the only other item that Willard is going to need for the entirety of this is the Tower of Hera Big Key, which, I mean, who knows? Maybe we'll find it in Swamp. I don't think that it's going to be, I mean, unless it's on Helmasaur. We went through all of Turtle Rock. We didn't find it there. So really, it limits the number of locations that have yet to be checked by either runner. Swamp Palace being one of the most plentiful.
So that's
So
weird.
I also think that, yeah, no, that literally is all that either one of our runners are looking for. Cumulative knowledge of that go mode, or as we call no mode. WillardJbradley taking the play that's not going to pay off unless, actually, there is a chest that wasn't checked here. The vanilla big key chest could very well have the key for Tower of Hera.
Oh man, that'd be a huge upset. Because Epic didn't go back for it, chose to finish off the dungeon. I believe Epic still has one key left for Turtle Rock now, found it in a different dungeon. And
Was there one found?
From the pause menu, it looked like there was one left over.
Oh, okay, well that's most curious then. I guess we'll find out soon.
Unless this green pendant is the Hera big key.
Which could also be a thing.
Be really interesting.
And this is where crystal count doesn't really make much of a difference. EpikRainjer, I guess, didn't go to the left side initially. It's going to go back and do that now.
All right, so Chad is pointing out that Willard only has one key in this room, so there's still a key out there somewhere then.
Yeah, there was a vanilla big... It's the same situation that EpikRainjer was in. There's a vanilla big key in the actual big chest of this dungeon.
Right, but I mean, like, if he got that vanilla big key, he wouldn't have been able to defeat the dungeon.
Well,
so if Willard decides to get it, and it's not a small key for this dungeon, gosh, Keysanity is so hard to keep track of. If it's not, then that means that he can't defeat the dungeon, which means he'll be able to get to the laser room, the laser bridge room, but he won't be able to get to Trinix, so he'll get a lot of information, but if that one is not a small key and it's the Hera big key, then it's good for him, but if it's not, then it's trouble.
Yeah, it would basically be an even swap. Instead of doing Trinix, you're able to go and take care of the vanilla big key chest. And the whole point that we've been making several times now about crystals and whatnot, crystal counts not mattering, EpikRainjer might be a crystal behind, but if EpikRainjer finds the Tower of Hera big key first, that could change everything, because Willard's still got several minutes to go in Turtle Rock. That may come up fruitless.
Yeah, so
because we know there's nothing else in here. The only unknown in Turtle Rock at this point is the chest that he is electing to go away from right now, which, by all accounts, is a good play.
We've seen Bombos checked, correct? I believe we saw...
Yes.
Okay.
Pretty sure.
Just double checking, because I feel like we've seen a lot of things. I was just trying to make sure, but let's see. All right. Now, if you're a fan of Epic, you're gonna hope that it's here, because then that steers him to Hera and that steers him to Ice Palace, and he'll just be able to go mode Ice Palace. There's Butter.
That's one thing anyway.
All right, is this the Hera big key?
It is not. I mean, that's like not even close.
But there's a small key. that they have for Hera. Now,
Mhm.
vanilla big key location still possible,
It totally is.
but that would be just insanely mean. I can't think of any other locations really that they haven't been.
Well, EpikRainjer has the green pendant, which I suspect is going to be turned in. Not just yet. Checking.
Oh, it looks like Epic might
desert.
be going to desert.
Yep, because the big chest there, as well as Landmola. It's still two locations that are relatively quick to get to at this point. Not a bad play whatsoever.
Yeah, and the green pendant, as you said before. So this is interesting. All right, Epic. What are you going to find in Desert Palace today? I do believe one of our runners went into Hera, but the one chest that they could check didn't really have anything for them.
I think they might have both gone in. And it was something like a heart piece somewhere and compass somewhere. It wasn't anything that allowed them to get anywhere through the tower, though. But yeah, EpikRainjer is going to head straight through the back of Desert Palace, say hello to Landmola.
Very easy fight with half magic, with fire rod, and with silver arrows. So multiple ways to defeat this boss. My bet's on silver arrows. It's the fastest way to go through it, but let's see what Epic chooses to do.
Well, you can always take your bets on Willard's laser skips. There's one. Big key for Ice Palace. You know what? I guess it could be in the Ice Palace big chest as well. It's down to a number.
Willard is willing to dip back into ice, though.
Probably not very willing for it. But we're at a point where we can pretty much count the remaining locations on almost even one hand, I think.
Yeah, so there's Ice Palace big chest. There is Landmo here.
Landmo. Tower of Hera basement.
Yep.
And if we find that other Turtle Rot small key, then there's the vanilla big key chest there, too. Willard's taken an intentional death, I suspect maybe to refill his health.
Oh, and looks like he's going Butter Sword and Fire Rod.
Nice to note, too, that EpikRainjer is holding the sword out to maintain Link's orientation. Or I should say, X's orientation.
There it
is. That's it. Big Key Tower of Hera on Landmola, of all things.
That's good. I think Willard's not going to be too far behind. I believe that Desert is more than likely going to be something that he checks. But yeah, Epic's go mode. Epic just needs to get through Ice Palace and Hera, and I believe that's where he's going.
And that's it. And Ice Palace is a little bit long to get through, even in go mode, just because those first few rooms feel like they take an eternity. But the reality is that it's not going to take too long to get through.
It's probably one of my favorite things about all dungeons is you get to skip those first couple of rooms and just go straight to the jelly room and the bombable floors.
So yeah, all we can do is see how this plays out. I don't think it's going to be too far apart either which way. And it might be too close at this point to really say that someone has a definitive lead, but EpikRainjer does have the major advantage of being in go mode at this point.
Yeah, because EpikRainjer still needs to get through pod as well.
Oh, that's right. Well, that actually makes it even closer than I had thought. I miscalculated that one.
Yeah, so Willard, in this area, I imagine that he would go to Hera and gamble. And then if it doesn't pay off there, he's definitely going.
You know what? I wouldn't put that past him at all. He's had some pretty rough experience with the Tower of Hera in the past. Having to triple dip it for one item at a time because reasons.
I mean, it's definitely hard to say who's in the lead, though. Because, I mean, like, Willard has 6 out of 7 crystals.
And there's the reset strat.
Epic has 4, working on the 5th. So, I mean, I'm willing to say that they're top. I mean, Epic's in go, but Willard is. It all depends on where he gets to, how close he gets to go.
You know what? Yeah, he doesn't have a choice but to go through Swamp at this point because that's where the Desert Palace big key was.
Correct.
So he needs to find that, and at that point, just because of item density, he's not going to leave Swamp. It's going to be a full clear.
Epic, I'm in a little bit of trouble here with the bomb jump. Now this is really unfortunate. If you use a sprite maybe where the shadow doesn't line quite up with the wall, you got to look at your sword, and sometimes, especially if you're playing this on emulator, it's really tough to maybe move just those little bit of pixels.
It's very tight lineups for sure.
Oh yeah, but managed to get it, cutting through here. Good execution of that little penguin room, and just blasts into this dungeon. Doesn't need to stop really for anything. It's got everything that he needs.
And with that, EpikRainjer just a couple of rooms away from getting into Cold Stare. Crystal number 5.
Not sure what Willard was trying to do there with the bomb, but blew himself way out into the water. Nicely done. Cold Stare's down. Gets that crystal. Now, I do believe that Epic is going to go Mirror Flute, head up to Pod, then Mirror Flute, head up to Turtle Rock, get that Dark World access up there, and then set the mirror right next to Hera, just so it's a quick exit Hera, use the mirror, go into G Tower, that we've seen so many times before.
Well, he's just about to get that Desert Palace big key. You know, one gamble he could have taken, knowing that Swamp Palace is the green pendant, is just head straight out and go to an unknown dungeon. Wouldn't find a Mewtwo or anything, but that's okay.
That was weird. A little bit of audio glitch.
With this game, nothing surprises me. So chat, hope you guys are liking this race so far, as we see each of our runners go through locations that have already been checked. What have been some of your favorite parts? Who do you think's gonna win? I know for me, one of the most exciting things to continually see with any race that's done in this fashion is different routes leading up to being in such similar positions. They're basically neck and neck, even though Willard doesn't quite have his Go Mode item yet. It's super close. I would highly suggest that each of you give Keysanity a shot if you don't play it already. We see a exclamation point Keysanity command in the chat. Links to link to the past Discord, the Randomizer Discord, the VT site where you can generate your own games, play along, have some fun, join all sorts of other fun things involved with this game. There's races all the time. And just in general, it's a great community, so pat yourselves on the back for helping make it that way. It's EpikRainjer getting through Helmasaur at this point. 17 hammer swings straight to that mask will knock it off. You can also use bombs, and it only takes 4 at that point, but it's consistently a bit slower and much more difficult to coordinate because of Helmasaur's erratic movement. Well, you know, just if you want to try something else that's kind of fun. And Willard almost done with the Swamp Palace. We're going to go say hey to Argus for a second time. And yep, that makes crystal number 6 for EpikRainjer, who's going to mirror, go into the light world, take out the flute, play a little song, head up to the mountain. And I suspect head straight over to the eastern half, so that we can leave a Dark World portal right outside of the Tower of Hera, right outside of Ganon's Tower, or however you want to look at it. So that once the Tower of Hera is completed, we'll be able to just head straight back down those stairs, enter the Dark World, and away we will go. Quite a few gifted subs in chat to Tear, Ninnies, and to Carcat. From Konizi Obrizi, thank you for helping support the speed gaming channels.
Thank you so much. So yeah, as DT was talking about, I really love that portal placement.
You know, it's really fun too when, like in the instance of going to Ganon's Tower first in Keysanity, because that can happen. This is not related to this seed. And you need to go back to the light world after you're done in Ganon's Tower. If you mirror right there, Link's just like way up at the top of the tower. It's not, the stair placement does not align between light and dark worlds, which can lead to it looking kind of amusing. I don't know, it's just another one of those places that you can mirror and not be in the right spot. Willard going to turn in his green pendant, which I don't think we saw before. Because EpikRainjer didn't have a need to. Only 20 rupees, not going to help.
₹20 of sadness.
And we're going to see something else for the first time that we hadn't actually considered before, Ninnies. Oh. We have magic powder.
We do have magic powder. But what does that mean? What does that get us?
Well, we don't know what it gets us just yet, but what it means is that we're going to go visit the bat. Yeah, that's a possibility. Could be another small key to somewhere, I think. Or a compass. Could be one of those two. 2 Swamp Palace, good. That's exactly what we wanted. EpikRainjer quickly climbing the Tower of Hera. We see our friend Moldorm getting knocked off, unfortunately.
But yeah, no. So a lot of difference one routing choice makes.
Yeah, you know, nothing that either one of our players did was the wrong decision. They went with the knowledge that they had at the time for what they thought was most optimal for what their choices were. And just the way that Keysanity works, you know, one person has to win. You go different directions from your opponent. Can't work for both of you. But still, not far behind. Willard is very, very close to that Tower of Hera. Big key. As we see EpikRainjer opening Ganon's Tower, bringing down this barrier. You know, it's got to be a little bit insulting to work so hard to get those 7 crystals and then just watch them fly off into the world like that.
I like to think that they go to a nice place while you defeat Ganon, and then, you know, descend back on Hyrule Castle after the Dark World is closed.
You know what? That just brings like a perfect fairy tale ending to A Link to the Past. I like it. I should publish it in a book. Make a Disney movie out of it.
Please don't make any more Nintendo games into movies.
I guess there's a history of those not working out so well, huh? Looking at you, Super Mario Brothers.
I mean, Legend of Zelda did have a horribly created cartoon series.
You know what I actually liked, though, was the Super Mario Brothers Super Show.
That wasn't that bad. It gave us probably one of the best dances of all time.
Well, here we go. Landmola for WillardJbradley. Going with almost the exact same strategy. Not quite getting that second one down with the Fire Rod. Makes quick work of it on phase 2, though. Nicely done.
Yeah, and speaking of quick work, Epic, with the keys and in hand, making his way through the gauntlet right now.
Now that's a nice little time save for Willard. Do you see what he did there?
I did. I don't even think I really thought about that, but that's really good.
I'm actually not quite sure what the criteria is to be able to save and quit in a boss room, but I think if it's Light World and if it's a pendant, you can save and quit in the boss room before picking up the pendant.
I do believe that as long as the door opens, I think that's the criteria. And all the Light World dungeons, the door opens.
Today we learned. Or chat can correct us, and that's just fine too. I like learning new things. So in this race to the top of Ganon's Tower, we now have EpikRainjer getting through the second Wizard Room onto this bridge with the 4 red guards. Not getting bumped by any of them too, which is nice. Sometimes the little tridents can get in your way, even if you dash. A little bit of a stumble on that.
I haven't played too many Keysanities, but I have to say, when it comes to times in this category, how do you feel about being in G Tower, like sub 2? Like
at this time, I feel
really nervous.
Well, in terms of a race, I would say yes, absolutely. In terms of just a general Keysanity time, I think that it's actually a pretty darn good time. But yeah, at this point, you're going to be wondering when your opponent's going to finish. It's around that time where you're in go mode. You haven't seen that dot done yet. Everyone's got a different method of handling their IRC channel when they're in a race. I know some people, once they hit go mode, they'll minimize the IRC. Some people will just keep it closed the entire time, just to minimize distractions and whatnot. Just focus on your own gameplay at the time. Get through it yourself. Don't worry about what your opponent's done until you get there yourself. A nice Maldorm 2 by EpikRainjer as we move on to the final areas of this game. The fantastic mini Helmasaur bumper room of fun. Which, just that quick dash up between the bumpers and we are off. Floor number 7, entering the room for Aga 2.
Yeah, the final hellway is pretty mean, but Epic opened up that small chest, and oddly enough, if you guys don't know, that red rupee, I believe, is the vanilla item for this dungeon.
I've honestly never paid attention to what's there. It's not important. Would have been a nice chance for a double there if it wasn't for Agahnim throwing that blue ball. But these patterns, all in all, have been relatively nice.
Yeah, he had a really good opening, got that double, and that's really what it comes down to. Getting a nice, at least double in the opening removes a lot of the RNG, because the first one will always be a power ball. After that, it's a 50-50 chance between a blue ball or an energy orb. So you always want to be aiming at least to open with 2. So Epic, all dungeons down, 1 boss remains. Now, gold sword, silver arrows, this is a really safe fight.
Just about as safe as it gets. 6 hits per phase, 4 hits in phase 3. And then, of course, we know what the ending is like. We need to hit him with silvers after stunning him.
Antarctic site, thank you so much for the continued support of 4 months of speed gaming.
So here we go. We're already into phase 3. We just see how quick that is. 1 hit per jump and whatnot, and each one of these floor tiles each side of the floor tiles falls after each hit. Ganon's warping around a little bit, trying to be a little bit elusive.
A lot of warps here today.
EpikRainjer getting a couple extra hits in there. Doesn't actually do anything, but you know what? Why not?
Hoping.
Ganon's the cause of this entire thing anyway, so yeah, it's justified. Gets a quick swing on him. Looks like he's shooting the wall. Doesn't quite get that first silver arrow hit.
Now, it's definitely nice to know that you don't have to get the torch glitch when you're using the silver arrows. It's not really... The game doesn't force you to get the torch glitch. And oddly enough, if you're ever doing or ever see anybody doing this with silver or silverless and with a tempered sword, that's actually a sequence break.
Yeah, technically doing silverless Ganon is a glitch. The game will never actually require it. But with that, we see EpikRainjer taking Ganon down. And GG's there, finishing with
official race time. Looking at a 2:01:28, which is not that far off from what we're seeing on screen here. So congratulations to EpikRainjer. Great routing, good execution, and just came out on top with nothing but his own skill and playing coming out through here today.
And nice Triforce text asking time for another one. And while we wait to see about EpikRainjer joining us, speaking of time for another one, we have a quad race at 10 p.m. on Speed Gaming 3 between Pika Pals and Kyong92 and Slim Kirby and Duke Firebird. There's also a handful of other races that have already started on various other channels. A Link to the Past Randomizer. Well, that's the name of the channel, not only what we're playing, of course. And A Link to the Past Randomizer 3. So plenty more of this to go through. I mean, this tournament's just cruising. We got races every day.
If DT says that there's really a race at midnight, I believe him.
Did I say midnight? I think I said midnight. One, it's a quad at 10 p.m.
Well, it could be midnight depending on what your time zone is.
That is true. That is true, time zones exist.
Silly time zones.
So Willard just about up at the top of Ganon's tower. An unfortunate mishap with a bomb there. He just wants to get through it at this point. And EpikRainjer, hello there. GG, fantastic race to watch. How are you feeling right now?
I'm like really shaky. Honestly, I wasn't expecting to win this at all.
Well, you did, and from where we were sitting, you had every reason to. Fantastic job. You kept on. You know, one of my favorite things about watching people play this is when they just keep on moving. And you not only kept on moving, you excelled at the movement that you were doing. Your execution was really, really on. It just seemed like you kept making the right plays routing-wise. Anything stick out about the seed specifically in your mind? Anything that maybe you wish you had done in a slightly different order?
I really don't think I should have done anything different. I usually don't full-on dive pennant dungeons before I can like full clear a crystal. But I feel like I had to gamble going against Willard.
Yeah, it definitely seemed like that's what you were choosing to do when you dipped into Turtle Rock, and then very visible confusion from you too when you picked up that vanilla small key in the big chest.
Yeah, I didn't know what to do. I don't know. I was debating if I should go check vanilla big key location, but I'm kind of glad I didn't.
Yeah, we were wondering for a while what might have been there. Nobody wound up checking it. In fact, I don't think that 4th Turtle Rock small key was ever found. So that's up in the air.
I gotta say, if all these choices that you did were all on a hunt, your hunches were spot on. And I mean, with every race, you know, you got a little bit of randomness to it, a little bit of luck, but it's also what you do with like the information that you're given. Like you're the first one to, you know, kind of choose the Agahnim seed, or, you know, well, not Agahnim seed, but just make that Agahnim progression. You know, the seed was given out to Hyrule Castle keys, and well, the keys for the tower, as well as you got, you know, your Master Sword, and then there was the cape, and then you got the torch. So it's just like, you got all these things, you know. Am I really going to Dark World this way? And you know, you took the risk about 24 minutes in, and it kind of carried you through.
Yeah,
it's hard to say if you were in the lead the entire time, but I mean, there was a definite point that as soon as you got that Hera big key, that was everything that you needed to do. And Willard, you know, had to kind of catch up to you with the locations that you did. I think you blitzed through this seed, and you completed every single dungeon, as did your opponent, but your hunches just led you in there.
Yeah, on Keysanity, if I ever get to Castle Tower keys, I'm bolting straight for Aga. It's rare I see those two just pop out that early.
Yeah, well, it gave you all the items in place to have pretty much full Dark World access right away, so certainly helped strengthen that decision. And WillardJbradley has finished. That's important enough. We should mention, with 2 hours, 6 minutes, and 30 seconds. Not far off at all. I mean, for a Keysanity seed that can go up and down, I mean, even standard open mode seeds can go just up and down, back and forth, every which way. Finishing 5 minutes off from your opponent is nothing short of a great race.
Oh, that's really close in Keysanity, in my opinion. Way close.
Yep, I would completely agree. And there he is. Willard, how are you, man? GG.
Yo, GG. I'm so mad.
So we saw your comment in the IRC saying you got debated so hard. What was the debate that got you?
Well, so it was a 50-50 of going to T-Rock versus going to Swamp. And I was like, oh, I know. Well, you know, it'd be most optimal if I could find Tower of Hera Big Key in T-Rock, because then I could just go straight to T-Rock, finish it, go to G-Tower, done. And then the other part was, well, I only have one small key, so I can only go to Chain Chomp Room. And then I'm done. So it's a quick check. If it works out, great. If it doesn't, I can leave. But then I kept finding vanilla keys, and it allowed me to go all the way to the end. So...
yeah, kind of funny how that happened, isn't it? Especially finding the small key in the vanilla big chest. It just... I'm sure neither one of you were expecting that to be the case.
Yeah. And I had to tiptoe around Palace of Darkness a little bit, so I did utilize some soft resets just so I could save a key in case it ended up being in that middle chest in T-Rock, or in case Helma had a crystal, so...
Yeah, we noticed that, chat noticed that, and it also gave your tracker a little bit of extra work to do to uncheck some of those items you had found.
Haha, get wrecked. But yeah, GG Epic. This was one of those that whoever dived Swamp first won, basically. And
GG Willard.
I kept thinking about it, and it was really funny because it was like, go to get the book, to go to Desert to get the bottle, to go to Sick Kid to get the flippers, and then it wanted you to go back into Swamp to get the big key, to go back to Desert to get the Tower of Hera big key. in some form or fashion, and which is super interesting. But of course, not the play I made.
Well, from where we were sitting, you didn't make any wrong plays. And finishing 5 minutes apart is really, really good. You kept moving, you kept checking places that made sense to you, and that's really all that anybody can ever ask when you're playing a game like this. Well done. I mean that.